Hi everyone, we're here at ACT 2026. We're at the Rivian booth. Behind us is the R2. We're super excited to talk about that. I'm with Sam Anderson. Sam, what do you do for Rivian?
Yeah, so I am the Fleet Sales Customer Success Manager.
Okay.
So I'm making sure all of our fleet customers stay happy after they take delivery and their vehicles go into deployment. And it's a ton of fun. It's a blast. Love to show you around the R2 since you got a chance to look at it.
Let's do it. Why don't, if you would, maybe start with like high level specs. What are we looking at from a battery pack size perspective, range perspective, any other notable architectural elements?
Yeah, absolutely. So the launch edition version, as you see here, we're at 330 miles of range out of I believe it's an 87 to 89 kilowatt hour usable battery pack.
Okay.
0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. I believe it's just over 650 horsepower.
Okay.
Dual motor all-wheel drive, of course. And it's, of course, a completely
dual motor, not quad motor.
Dual motor as in this launch edition here,
yep,
with the performance upgrade as well. And these are new motors compared to what you'd find on the R1 line.
Yep.
These are bespoke to the R2. Smaller, more powerful, more efficient, an evolution in every way.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I think just from the aesthetic piece, like standing off to the side of it, I think one of your associates said to me, it made me laugh, but it was a perfect description. And I think it's a compliment to the vehicle. It looks like someone took an R1S, so it's a larger SUV, sibling, and put it in the dryer because it's like perfectly scaled down.
Yeah.
Like if you squint your eyes or if you don't have something to scale it next to, you'd be like, oh, it's an R1S, obviously, but it's not, it's the R2. So was that, from the design perspective, was that like a goal? Like we want it to be just like the R1S, proportions, all that stuff, but scaled down for this size?
Yeah, well, certainly the brand identity is present. Of course, the halo headlights, the classic SUV shape. But I think as you pay closer attention to the R2, you'll notice some actually pretty notable standouts, like the clamshell hood, for instance. Yep. It's got a more exaggerated wheelbase, which gives it a pretty excellent look on the road, if you ask me.
Yep.
One of the easier ways to tell apart the R1 from the R2 on the road is that the R2 has these really cool kind of squared off mirror arms.
Yep.
Which is really cool. And of course, the charge port being in the back here as well.
Yep.
NACS, of course. Manual charge port in the rear, set up for charging on the driver's rear side there.
But still maintaining, I think, sort of the signature Rivian, like really short front and rear overhangs, very boxy, but that translates to headroom and occupant space on the inside.
That's exactly correct.
So it's function, also fashion, right?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And there's some things that actually we weren't really willing to compromise on from a design perspective to maintain the SUV shape.
Yep.
Like for instance, this spoiler in the rear here,
yep,
which is obviously a huge aerodynamic benefit. I'm sure you and your audience understand the importance of aerodynamics in an electric vehicle. But the spoiler at the top to maintain just that silhouette to the rear of the vehicle. And I'm not on the design team myself, but you can tell there's a lot of intentionality in maintaining that identity.
Absolutely, and I mean, there's other OEMs out there that have done this for these purposes. I think of the Hyundai Ioniq, I believe some of the Jaguar examples from JLR, they've done this where, you get this really nice squared off profile in the back, but you're able to carry that slipstream down, and really break off that, any of that drag at the tail end of the vehicle, so improving the CD.
Some of the other vehicles that do employ a somewhat similar aerodynamic strategy, often it's at the expense of a rear wiper.
Sure.
And it's not something that we wanted to compromise on.
Yep.
So of course the R2 does have the rear wiper standard tucked into the little garage there, and that's all set up for. We've done extensive testing on drainage and ice and debris to make sure this isn't something that gets blocked.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch when I looked at this. I'm like, really well done, from the outside, unless you were looking for it, it kind of disappears below the waterline. But my concern was absolutely what you just articulated, which is the drainage, the snowpack, everything getting in there. How is this going to react in those conditions? But it sounds like you guys have gone through that. So
yeah.
Well, let's swing around to the front. I know offline we were talking a little bit about the Frunk, and I think it's one of the things that relates to taking cost out of the vehicle. I mean, cost is the name of the game for the R2, right? We've got to make it viable for what we're trying to target in the market segment. So in the Frunk, we made some changes. Why don't you take us through some of those?
Yeah, exactly. So firstly, we've relocated the button from the bottom of the fascia and the R1 to the left of the logo to just center of the logo. It's a touch capacitive button now.
Yep.
And it's gas strut open instead of
power actuator.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we've changed the design of the Frunk a little bit. It's still obviously massive. We're among the largest Frunks in our segment, if not the largest, I believe. But we've eliminated some parts here. Like you can see, we've taken out the mats present on the R1. There was a 2-stage like load floor. There's a rubberized side and a carpeted side on one side.
Yep.
And we've been able to eliminate that part and package the internals underneath just more efficiently.
Yeah, so pretty streamlined. We've got primarily a 2-piece as far as the underhood, closeouts. Got a single piece Frunk assembly with obviously, escape buttons, bulb seal around the periphery. But then on the hood side, no seal here, but we do have a compression molded PET, right? So I would anticipate that's largely an NVH function, right? Because this is going to be an acoustic panel to a degree.
NVH in the grander sense, that would be the decision behind this, and contrasted with what we have currently in the R1 line, where this is a finished surface, an injected molded piece, of opportunity to reduce some cost as well.
Awesome, and very minimal. What I'm seeing here is very minimal fasteners, right? I've got it looks like 2 locations here, but it looks like most of it may be snap fit, something that's molded on the back side of these. So really minimizing the fastener count or visible fasteners on something. So
yeah, correct. And even compared to the R1, we don't have an R1 here to contrast with, but all of these closeouts as well on R1, we have more pieces, more fasteners. So the intentionality behind the efficiency of the design, the efficiency of the vehicle overall, it shows up in little decisions like this.
For sure, for sure. Maybe with that being said, Sam, let's jump on the inside and take us through some of the new features.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, welcome to the R2. So first thing you'll notice is that you'll probably feel right at home if you're coming from an R1 or you've been in a Rivian before. Again, the DNA that we want to, the heritage that we want to bring over to the R2. Obviously, things are a little different though. The screen is a slightly different ratio, a bit more accessible, a bit lower on the dash. The dash overall just a bit lower, so that the belt line is lower, the visibility is a bit better, and of course we've truncated the driver's display a little bit, just allow for a little better visibility as you move the steering wheel around, and we've actually made the interior of the R2 even more practical in many ways. Of course, we still have our signature wide open storage in the middle of the between our 2 seats, as well as the retractable drawer down at the bottom. And the R2 also now also shipping in our R1 products, magnetic charging in the center console.
Yeah, I mean, as I look around in the interior, I'm looking for the areas in which cost was really focused on. And I'll say, trying to offer a vehicle at this price point, I'm seeing still, fabric wrapped IP components, live stitch, not faux stitch. We've got vinyl wrap components, again, live stitch, not faux stitch. We've got nice vinyl seats with stitching patterns, perforation. It looks like ventilation, heating, so many of the things that you would say we would, start to reduce and take out from the customer's view in the name of cost. We've maintained a lot of that in this vehicle. Backlit, ambient lighting, LED, presumably modifiable. It seems like there's still a lot here for the customer. We're not taking a lot away from the customer.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's entirely correct. And even decisions like changing the design of the center console door from that 2-hinge design on the R1 with the electronic release to just a simple lift and a single door here in R2.
Yeah. No, it's great. So Sam, we just swapped seats. We're talking about these scroll wheels. Like everyone's got a version of a scroll wheel. One of the things that we were just talking about is explain to me the detents, because when I'm moving these, it's going to be hard to grasp on camera, but when I'm moving these have different scroll rates, detent resistance, and throw, meaning the distance between the detents feels different. And I can grab the wheels from the back to the sides. What is going on with these?
Yeah, so this is our Halo haptic wheel.
Okay.
And the star of the show are of course, the Halo wheels here. So these are electromechanical, input devices, I suppose I should call them, these wheels. Not only do they scroll up and down, but you can toggle them to the left and to the right. You can press them in from the front, and you can press them from the rear as well. to select whatever you may want to select on the screen. But what's really interesting, as you noted, is that these aren't real detents that you're feeling. These are all electromechanically controlled, which means we can change the force, we can change the throw contextually based on what we're adjusting. So as you may have seen here, we're adjusting the fan speed between one of 7 different detents, and as you hit the last detent, you'll get some resistance. It won't let you go past that.
It says,
last
I'm
detent.
to the bottom, stop it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And if we toggle over to a different setting, temperature for instance, now we have a much more granular level of scrub.
Yeah, higher resolution in the clicks here.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And
that's to the credit of our design team. Many people clamor for physical buttons, but sometimes it feels like they don't quite know what they're asking for. So if we can find a way that fulfills that need, that desire for something more physical, in a software-defined way, such as with these Halo wheels, then everybody wins. Because over-the-air software update, all of a sudden, you can only imagine the things you might want to control, using your steering wheel without taking your eyes off the road, without taking your hands off the wheel. You become, that subconscious tactile feedback. Depending on what you're adjusting, you don't even have to look down. You just know, I'm adjusting fan speed now. Click it over. Oh, yep, this feels like temperature. Yeah, that becomes second nature.
These have to be one of the only examples. I mean, I off the top of my, off the cuff here, I think these are the only examples I've seen in this form of an application where it's not mechanical, it's electromechanical. And you're actually using, an electromagnet and detents, sort of like a motor that would be cogging, if you're familiar with that.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And you're adjusting the rate at which it cogs and where those poles lie. It's super interesting. So, Sam, thanks for taking me through that. It was something that I'm like, those are cool scrolly wheels, but there's a lot more than meets the eye here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and I think that's the common theme you'll find throughout the entire R2.
Great.